Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Quarantine Kitchen. My name is Chef Taylor, and I'd like to start the day off with a sincere thank you to everyone who watched our first few videos. The massive amount of support shown makes it all the more exciting to continue cooking with you all. Second, I'd like to thank Grayson over at Glevity, my partner in producing this show. He's done a ton of work to make it all look and sound professional. Due to statewide restrictions, it's become a little bit trickier for us to collaborate. But just like in the kitchen, we will adapt to the situation and continue to provide quality food and content. Now, let's start cooking. Today we have French onion soup. French onion soup is a masterpiece in the soup world. It's served molten hot in a cauldron-looking bowl, and you must punch through a golden brown crust of gooey, melty cheese to get to the sea of rich, beefy broth and caramelized onions trapped inside. Damn. I just made my own mouth water. This soup is filling and just the thing to drive away the cold on a snowy day, and so flavorful I still eat it in the middle of summer. Over the last 10 years, I've probably made this soup 2,000 times in a restaurant kitchen, and I'm still in love with it. And as always on this show, the recipe is simple, the ingredients are cheap, and with plenty of room for customization. The more love and care you put into this dish, the better it will be in the end. So take your time. The first thing we need is, of course, the onions. The natural sugar in the onion is what creates the deep caramelization when we saute it slowly over low heat. And there are so many different types of onions available, from yellow, white, and sweet onions to shallots, leeks, or scallions. I like to use a variety, but right now I have an abundance of yellow onions and shallots. The second major ingredient in this recipe is beef stock, which is important because it carries the bulk of the flavor, and the gelatin from the bones gives the soup body. Most of us probably don't have scratch-made beef stock at home, so we'll use chicken broth and beef base instead. Even water and beef base will be fine in a pinch, and for my vegetarian friends watching, go ahead and use a flavorful veggie broth. The next key component in this French classic is the brandy, which we will use to deglaze our onions. This step adds an extra depth of flavor and a subtle sweetness to complement the caramelized onions. Some recipes will use sherry or marsala wine instead, so take this opportunity to customize to your liking. Hopefully you're all fully stocked on booze at home. Now for the croutons. You can use any bread that you have on hand. You can cut circles out of sliced bread, cut hoagie rolls into sections, or make some bread from scratch. Why not? We've all got the free time. Finally, everyone's favorite part, the cheese. Classically, Gruyere is used, but you can use any cheese you like. Provolone, Munster, or even pepper jack are good melty options that brown beautifully. Gruyere, Swiss, or Havarti are good semi-stinky choices. Extra points for blending cheeses to get the best of both worlds. Now that we have our ingredients and the chef's cocktail, let's cook. The first thing we need to do is dice our onions. We want to make sure that we have nice uniform cuts so the small pieces of onion don't burn before large pieces of onion have a chance to caramelize. Once you cut it in half, follow the lines to get your initial cut. And turn it and cut it crosswise to get your dice. Pay attention to your shallots and make sure that you cut them to the same size as your onions. Now that we have our onions cut, let's preheat our oven to 375 degrees for the croutons. Then, turn on your stove to medium heat for the onions. Once your pan is hot, add your oil, and then add your onions. Stir them all around to get introduced. We've started our onions over medium heat to jumpstart the caramelization process. While we're waiting for some color to develop, let's get our croutons cut and out of the way. Now I'm going to cut my hoagie roll into sections. And squish them down to fit my bowl or my oven-safe cup. Now we'll transfer all these to a cookie sheet. We're going to spray them all with a little bit of oil. Sprinkle with a little bit of salt. And then we'll transfer them to the oven for about 10 minutes until they're golden brown and crispy. Stir your onions often to make sure they brown evenly. Some of it will stick to the bottom of the pan, and that's okay. We call this fond. Fond is flavor. Just keep stirring and don't let it burn. At this point, let's turn it down to low heat. This is the part that takes the most time, so take extra special care to not let it burn, and it'll all pay off in the end. After about 15 minutes, our croutons are nice and crispy. Set them aside and let them cool. We won't need these again until right before we eat. At this point, our onions have been going low and slow for about 30 minutes and have developed a beautiful dark brown shade. As we stir, a lot of the fond is sticking to the bottom, but it's still not burnt. That's how we know it's time to deglaze. Deglazing is the process of adding a liquid to release the fond while infusing flavor. So we're going to add half a cup of brandy and stir vigorously to pull up the fond and combine all the flavors. Once all the brandy is evaporated, now it's time to add the stock. Once we've added a full quart of chicken stock, we're going to add 3 more cups of water and 2 tablespoons of beef base. As a rule of thumb, you'll add a teaspoon of beef base for every cup of water. Now that we have all of our main ingredients in the pot, let's focus on seasoning. We save seasoning for the very end because beef base has a lot of sodium and we don't want to make it too salty too soon. So taste your soup, and if you feel like it needs more flavor, add some more beef base. If you're happy with it, add a little bit of salt and lots of black pepper. Now that everything's perfect, let's put it in a bowl, put a crouton on it, and add some cheese. Now that our soup is done, it's time to make it molten hot. Ladle your soup into your oven-safe bowl or cup, float croutons over the top, cover with cheese, and don't be shy about it. Pop it in the oven until it's golden brown and bubbly, and enjoy. Damn, that's a beautiful bowl of soup. Now punch through that layer of ooey gooey cheese and crispy crouton and enjoy. But be careful, because that shit is hot. Thank you for watching this episode of Quarantine Kitchen. Tune in next time where we'll show you how to make a banging breakfast casserole. Like and comment below, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media for updates on all of our future recipes.